Alright, this is my 98cc 2.8 horsepower Baja mini bike that I've been working on streamlining for about a week now. I've spent about $20 in the process of designing it, maybe a little more, and I now have a pretty darn rugged fairing that clearly reduces the drag significantly. I have a front wheel fairing, which is quite a lot like on an aircraft. I have two air dams on the front over here, which create a little bit of downforce and serve to separate the flow moving around this surface from this gap beneath, which I want to minimize the flow going through, because that gap then blows back here onto the fender and blows downward through here, just wasting a lot of energy in the flow. So it's good to keep the flow on the outside of the fairing. I have this little curve down here that diffuses the flow as it is moving down behind the tire, you know, from up here in this fender area, and that helps to reduce the pressure ahead of the fender and raise the pressure behind the tire while simultaneously curving the air down toward the lower surface of the engine fairing here, which is rhino-lined just like this little curve on the front surface. I have this air vent that helps to cool the front face of the engine. As you see, I got a little curve on the outside to help separate the flow there so that it can more efficiently go around the pull start area here and help to cool that as well, take away that heat that builds up in that area. And this little air vent effectively creates a current that blows along here and around this side of the engine, like that, which then is continued by this following curve along here all the way to the back. The exhaust is emitted here past this hot metal and out into the flow. It does not cause damage to the plastic, mainly to the metal is where the heat is transferred, and I have this little slit here to help pull, but it's not literally pulling, but to simplify it, I could say it's pulling air in through here. It's actually air out there getting pressed in, but anyway, blowing in and helping to cool down the air so that it doesn't cause as much damage to the plastic. No damage is done to the plastic, although earlier attempts were causing damage to the plastic. Okay, you can see the back of the engine fairing here, which does not significantly affect the air cooling of the engine, primarily because even before the engine fairing was there, that was a very low flow area drafting behind the fender of the front wheel. Alright, you can see the back of the main fairing here. This inner part here is just the structure. As you see. You can see the rear from here. It's a little bit cam-backed. Someone might say it is hollow boat-tailed, but that's a very vague term, and I rather cam-back a lot better than the term boat-tailed, because in the modern time, boats are not the majority of objects that are streamlined in that way. Actually, cars and even some aircraft and so many vehicles and things, even helmets, are streamlined in a camback way that is still often referred to as boat-tailing. Alright, now here is where I set up so that you can work on the, adjusting the levers of the throttle and the clutch, which you reach in through here, but you gotta have somewhere to see it, so you look in through this crack to see what you're doing on the levers. The entire fairing is held together by bolts and zip strips or zip ties. I have used about 120 zip ties, I believe, which fortunately means only $2 at Dollar Tree. The plastic itself that I've made the fairing out of, I acquired from plastic buckets bought at Walmart, and the total cost of the primary plastic surfaces is about $17, and I did, of course, actually have to rhino line these lower surfaces, but I already had the rhino lining, and I didn't use the whole bottle. So overall, the total cost is somewhere in the $20 zone. Alright, well, I'm going to try to start it up and take it for a ride in a moment.
Actually, before I ride it, I thought this would be something some people might be interested in. I put this plate and this plate here with a little gap between it and the rear fender in order to keep or help to keep the back of the engine clean, because originally the back of the engine would get dirty very fast from driving as a result of dirt and dust and rocks and mud and everything flying forward from the rear wheel and spraying onto the back of the engine over here by the throttle cable and the throttle. So obviously I don't like having mud and dirt and stuff building up on the back of the engine. That doesn't help it in any way. So anyway, I put this plate and this plate here to separate it, and so far it's been working good. The engine is pretty darn clean considering. I think that probably makes it so you can drive about 10 times as long between times of cleaning off the engine.